An actor and theater director Yusuke Kafuka has a wife who is a gifted writer with a peculiar way of writing. When they both start having sex together, the wife, Otto, starts narrating a story. Yusuke listens to her and later reminds her of what she had told during sex. Otto writes what Yusuke reminds her. In a mysterious manner, Otto herself doesn't remember clearly. The interaction between Yusuke and Otto to make a story and their strange cooperation while having sex is a kind of birthing a story. One day when Yusuke leaves home to fly for a trip and then because of the flight cancellation due to bad weather comes back home and becomes surprised to find her wife having sex with another man. They didn't notice he's arrived. Yusuke went out quickly without telling anything. Some days later, Otto asks him to talk together at night, but when Yusuke returns home late at night, Otto has died of a sudden cerebral hemorrhage. It's a sad happening, impresses Yusuke deeply. A man of grief who also had lost his 4 years old daughter about 24 years ago. Afterwards, we jump 2 years later when Yusuke is a director of a theater show named Uncle Vanya, written by Anton Chekhov. That show will be held in Hiroshima and he's gone there. Through auditions, Yusuke recognized that guy who has been with his wife when he suddenly had come back home from the airport, a young and erratic actor, Koji Takatsuki. He chooses Koji for the role of Uncle Vanya. Gradually, they know each other more and talk together about their lives. There's the same person whom they both loved, Otto. Koji is not the only effective person in Yusuke's life after his wife's death. When he went to Hiroshima, theater company employed a driver for him. Despite his initial reluctance, Yusuke finally accepts the driver, a skilled 23-year-old girl with unpleasant past name Misaki. Like Koji, Misaki is gradually sharing her personal matters with Yusuke. She lost her mother some years ago in the country because of the landslide. The pain affected Misaki completely and forced her to go to Hiroshima and to be a driver. Having almost a similar past brings Yusuke and Misaki together. It was just a short review of the story. There are a lot of things remained untold in this 3 hours long movie. We have a Saab 900 Turbo at the heart of the movie, which is also red as the heart. Magnificent long shots of the car moving on the highways and distinguished from all the cars by its stunning red color. Let us consider the car as something magical. Yusuke is totally dependent on the car and obsessed with driving. In the car, he usually plays the cassette tape, which includes Uncle Vanya's playlines that had been recorded by his late wife in her euphonious voice. It calms him as much as being in the lovely nostalgic car. The tape and the car together build a private moving temple which shelters sorrowful Yusuke and provides somewhat relief for him. The point we see in a remarkable scene where the car wheels convert into cassette reels in a brief transition. Drive My Car is the title of a short story from a collection named Men Without Women, written by Haruki Murakami, which includes 7 short stories about men who lost their wives. Murakami is a well-known contemporary Japanese writer with international reputation. This movie is not just adapted from Drive My Car story. It has also borrowed some elements from 2 other stories in that collection, one Scheherazade, 2 Kino. Scheherazade basically is the main female character in a Persian story 1001 Nights that is about a king named Shahryar who realizes his wife has cheated on him and orders the headman to cut off her head. The king decides to marry a virgin every day and cut off her head next morning. With this cruel decision, he wanted to make sure no one else would betray him. This process goes until there is no more virgin in the land except Scheherazade, a wise girl who is familiar with literature and poems. She marries the king and before intercourse asks him if she can tell her young sister a story for the last time. Shahryar accepts and lies on his bed, waiting for Scheherazade. Listening to her story carefully, intentionally, Scheherazade stops narrating when the story comes to its climax. Monarch asks her to finish, but she tells it's too late and almost dawning. So Shahryar doesn't execute her at the morning and gives her one more day to finish the story at the night. This process lasts long, 1001 nights, and leads the king to choose Scheherazade as his lovely queen. It's a story about the power of the stories. But Murakami Sherazade is a nurse who should care for a man and slowly becomes interested in him. They have sex with each other, and after each sex, the nurse tells the man a story. Once she notices that she was madly in love with one of her school classmates and cowardly has entered his house several times. Each time she has been taking one of his little stuff, such as a pencil, and putting one of her own, like a tampon, as a token. It's the story narrated in the movie by Oto in the title of Yamaga. The second story which has affected the movie is Kino. It's a story about a man who understands his wife is unfaithful to him. He decides to divorce and opens a bar and is engaged in managing that. One night he and one of the women, who had come to the bar several times before, start having sex in upstairs. The continuation of the story goes in the way that Kino finally perceives maybe his behavior toward his wife was too hastily and inappropriate. These three stories written by Murakami with the help of two plays, Beckett's Waiting for Godot and Chekhov's Uncle Vanya, have been adapted by Ryusuke Hamaguchi to build the massive structure of this movie. It's really impressive. The lead role, Yusuke, is the intersection point of all these stories. His life is the story of loss upon loss. After his wife's death, he doesn't know what to do, how he can soothe himself, and which work can distract him. When he accepts a multi-language show of Uncle Vanya play in the Hiroshima, he takes the first step to distance himself from the awkward past. Accidentally, he encounters his wife's lover, Koji Takatsuki, and begins talking to him explicitly about Otto and their extravagant sexual relationship. Yusuke slowly gets the power to understand his wife's extramarital affairs and pursues himself to not doubt Otto's love for him. But who helps Yusuke most is his forcible driver, Misaki. She's 23 years old, as much as Yusuke's daughter would be if she was alive. Misaki confesses that she could save her mother from the landslide because she had chanced to escape the collapsing house and was able to return to rescue her mother, but she didn't and doesn't know why. Yusuke wants to comfort her and says, "If I were your father, I'd say it's not your fault." This kind of paternal bond between Yusuke and Misaki makes them feel better. There's an outstanding scene between these two characters when Yusuke offers Misaki a cigarette despite his previous emphasis on not smoking in the car. Then they both raise their hands out of the sunroof so that cigarette ash doesn't fall into the car. Sub 900 is still Yusuke's lovely car, but now Misaki is his confidant. At Yusuke's suggestion, they go to Misaki's old home in Hokkaido. When they arrive, go to the house, which is buried underground in snow. This is a delicate moment. Misaki mentions something about her mother, then tells Yusuke her opinion about Otto. She encourages Yusuke to accept Otto as she was and alludes to Otto's true love for him. Then Yusuke, who was listening carefully, starts saying his regrets at Otto's death. Before they come back in a cathartic experience, Yusuke begins crying and is hugged tightly by Misaki, who is now more than a driver. At the end, we see Misaki in South Korea driving the same red Sub 900 with a dog which belonged to one of the actors of Uncle Vanya show, Yuna. Misaki's scar on her cheek has gone, and there is a little smile on her face, a sign of satisfaction. We can conceive that Yusuke has succeeded in facing his bitter past and to forget has decided to distance his car from himself, so he's probably granted that car to Misaki, who had once said, "I like that car and want to drive it with care." Also, Misaki has gone to Korea and removed that scar which was an unpleasant sign of the landslide to forget the past and start her new life. After all, Drive My Car is a movie of how art can attenuate the grief. Here we don't want to ignore Misaki's help, but in fact Yusuke could resist deadly waves of sorrow, regret and mourning with engaging in his work. Notice that he finally accepts playing the role of Uncle Vanya, which he previously said about Chekhov's line, "Drag out the real you, and I can't bear that." However, eventually he is forced to bear. Thanks for watching.